All right, we're back. Thank God. You ready for this review? Spoiler warning ahead. Just consider it now. You've been warned. Alright guys, gals, and everything in between, another season of Doctor Who is finally here. We've taken a year hiatus with the exception of the Christmas specials, and we're back. I had to break out the sonic screwdriver, get my Capaldi shirt on, and I was ready to rock by the morning time. I mean, it was great. I was excited. And, you know, that excitement, I think, has been budding in all Doctor Who fans for a while. And this episode was an interesting one, to say the least. It's titled The Pilot. That is a very interesting concept because what they're kind of doing is what we suspected, which is rebooting the universe, per se. I mean, of course, we're not saying none of the stuff in the past happened. It all did. It's just that at this point, it's a new leaping off point. You could start today, never have seen, like, Doctor Who before, and say, all right, cool, I understand where we are. It's essentially the 2005 revamping again. And so it's nice to see Capaldi like revamping it and Stephen Moffat revamping it, getting ready for Chris Chibnall to take over. Because if you guys don't know, this is Stephen Moffat's last season as the showrunner, and now he's going to pass the torch on to the Broadchurch writer, Chris Chibnall. So it kind of reintroduces people to the world, and that is always refreshing because that means we get a brand new, fresh companion perspective. And in this episode, that's really what we get, a reintroduction to the world. So we start in the beginning and we follow Bill. And Bill is played by Pearl Mackie. And now that I've seen Bill in motion, she's fantastic. I loved her enthusiasm. I love the fact that she was a very nerdy person to begin with. Like, she would make references, but, well, you know, this is what I saw on Netflix. She actually tells the Doctor it's what she saw on Netflix. I liked that because that's what I would do. I'm that friend when you're in a group that makes the random movie reference in times that aren't necessarily appropriate. But that's me. I connected with Bill on that level. And seeing Capaldi back was wonderful. He's solidifying himself as the best Doctor to me. And this episode was a pretty simple one. So while we're being introduced to Bill Potts, we're slowly introduced to this mysterious figure. We all know him as the Doctor. New audiences. I keep having to emphasize that because there are going to be new audiences with this. New audiences are being introduced to this mysterious figure whom we know as the Doctor, but she's learning who he is, and he's very secretive. He's running around. He wants her to essentially be in his class because she is the one who smiles when she doesn't understand something. So she kind of likes that sense of adventure. When we finally get to our creature, it is really creepy. It's this water creature, and very clever that they edited it in the trailer to have it say exterminate. And I was thinking like, holy crap, water Dalek, what the hell? And no, that's not what happens. I mean, we get this weird water creature and some really creepy scenes after they get sucked through a puddle, and there is the pilot. This water creature needs a catalyst to go forward. So then we see her, Bill at home, and Bill's got a pretty okay home life, but the creepy thing that was just spot on, the director of this episode, he's done a couple Doctor Who episodes before, but not too many, and I want to see him do more, actually, because of how well he directed the episode, because it reminded me very much of Sherlock in its cinematography. The camera's moving, you see these like close-up intimate shots of just random arbitrary things like friars that just make it visually interesting. So I really enjoyed seeing him direct this episode. As we get this creepy buildup of the shower, and she gets a call from her mom and says, you know, oh hey, I'm out at the bar, and well then who's in the shower? Oh my god, going in there, no one's there, but you just see the drain wet and everything, and then the eyeball pops out of the shower, and I was like, yeah, because it was actually creepy. It brought some like behind the sofa thrills to Doctor Who, where you're creeped out at the creature of the week. And it reminded me a lot of, remember the season of X-Files that just recently came out, and there was like that garbage monster, or like the dumpster guy, and it reminded me a lot of that, actually, is what the creature kind of was. And it was ultimately this water creature whom it remembers a promise that she made to Bill, which was, promise you'll stay with me. And Bill is so confused by this, and I love the simplicity of that. That ultimately this creature is following him because Bill made a promise, and that's what this alien now is connected with. But we get a nice, pleasant surprise. Capaldi takes her out through time and space. The reveal of the TARDIS and reintroduction to the TARDIS and everything. They're making jokes, Nardole and the Doctor, which Nardole was mostly tolerable in this episode. I do not like Nardole at all. I think he's kind of just a forced character to sort of help bridge the gap, but I don't have to like him. And so Nardole and him are making jokes like, this is taking a little bit longer than it normally does, as she's like slowly figuring out like, oh, it's a kitchen, it's an elevator. And I love her just everyday questions. Where's the bathroom? Like, I gotta use the bathroom. And it's like, what? You're looking at the TARDIS and that's your focus? All right, cool. It felt human to me, which is kind of nice. And after that, we of course have this sort of goose chase where this creature follows him everywhere. The Doctor's running around and we see the Dalek. And that's where the water creature consumes the Dalek and it doesn't die, which shows the power of this creature. And we get some implications that maybe this creature is going to come back later in the season. I would personally like to see it come back. I think it was a very fascinating creature. We didn't see what was under the water because you could occasionally get these POV shots, and it sounded like it was the Ice Warriors. And I'm thinking if it's the Ice Warriors, that is an interesting villain arc that I want to see pan out, because the Ice Warriors haven't really gotten their time to shine in a long time. So I'm really hoping, because I love the Ice Warriors. The second Doctor is one of my favorite Doctors, and he had some really great Ice Warrior stories. And I just feel like we haven't really had good Ice Warrior stories in a while. So that's what I'm really hoping. I personally love the feel of it. I love Bill's chemistry of just her bombacity with the Doctor, who's actually going back to kind of some of his more serious roots. He has some humorous moments, but he's definitely more cranky. And I love the subtle nods of like his photos of River and Susan, his granddaughter, on the table. And you can see his pain and he's trying to avoid it. And I think the part that hit it home for me was when he was trying to wipe her memory and she was like, have you, if you were in my shoes? And he was. And then you just see it really hurt him. And he's like, get out. And you see the turmoil and pain. And especially if you were watching the last season, you can connect on that on a level that the audience, the newer audience, can't necessarily connect on. So it's these two levels, because the new audience is like, oh, it definitely hurt him. Us, we're like, yeah, we remember. And for those of us who loved Hellbent, yeah, that is a powerful moment. And so there was a lot in this episode. It was a really basic episode, actually. There wasn't a lot of the Moffat-isms where Stephen Moffat has to make it this ridiculously complicated story. It was a simple reintroduction to the world, and I loved it. So I definitely really enjoyed this episode. I don't know how many times I would rewatch the episode, but that being said, I really love it. Did you guys like it? Also, now that we're past that, double spoiler warning, Moffat built up this trailer, which also fault on the Doctor Who marketing campaign. Moffat built up that, in the coming up next trailer, it's such a huge spoiler, it's ridiculous. And it was an image of John Sim as the Master, which, great, cool, love seeing him back. But then, that means that right after you built this trailer up, you then revealed what's in the trailer, like a day later, revealing John Sim's the Master. How is that good marketing? Because I was building up. I was like, oh my god. And you saw Capaldi starting to regenerate, or at least what we think is Capaldi, which, that's going to kill me. Because I love Capaldi, and I don't want to say bye. But it was just incredibly like, what? Alright, so that's what you were building up? I was speculating a lot bigger on this whole what he said was going to blow your socks off. You told us what our socks were going to get blown off with. So that bugged me, but in all reality, that's not going to change my opinion on the episode at all. It's a solid episode. I cannot wait for more. If the rest of the season is like this, it's going to be fantastic. Alright guys, gals, and everything in between, what did you think of the pilot? Did you guys enjoy it as much as I did? Do you think that this season could be one of the best seasons we've had in a long time? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Got plenty more videos coming to you. Love you guys.